In today's show, we're looking ahead to week 9 in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks.com, use the promo code NBA or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. We are going to do a Week 9 preview, but of course, big news with the news on Zion Williamson, that the foot is not healing as expected, a setback. He's going to be shut down from basketball activities for a while. That rules out December for me. That probably rules out most of January. I think it's looking more like a 50-50 that he doesn't play this season. We talked about this a few weeks ago, saying, broken feet, mate. TJ Warren took a year. Took 8 months for Mitchell Robinson. We expected Zion back in 3 months, or that's what the Pelicans lied to us about. Obviously, it can be different types of injuries. But obviously a stinker. You don't have an injury reserve slot. You cannot hold Zion Williamson. It is literally impossible. Even with an injury reserve slot, if you need someone else, and there's 16 blokes in COVID protocols at the moment. If you need that injured slot for someone else, drop him. By the time he comes back, we're talking absolute minimum, I would guess 4 weeks, absolute minimum, probably minimum 8 weeks, and then it's going to be limited minutes. It's going to be, get conditioning back, then it's going to be limited minutes, then it's going to be sitting back-to-backs. It's not worth it. I think. In fact, I don't want to say he's garbage, but Jack Armstrong wants to say it.
Get that garbage out of here!
You can't hold. You can't hold through this. It's unfortunate. He's got to go. If someone dropped Ben Simmons, I'd grab him. It appears like trade talks are maybe improving there and just see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But grabbing Ben Simmons is worth holding on to. And I don't know if anything's changing with Kyrie. Who knows? With those 3 absolute disasters so far this season. 3 all-star players that we're just not going to see maybe all season, which is really, really frustrating from an NBA fan perspective. But let's talk about Week 9 in the league now. Interesting week. No real standout team in terms of no 5-game team. So that's interesting. Whereas the vast majority play 4 games. 17 teams play 4 games. They include the Blazers, the Grizzlies. Well, they don't include. This is them in total. The Blazers, the Grizzlies, the Hawks, the Cavs, the Heat, Hornets, Rockets, Nets, the Suns, the Kings, the Sixers, the Pistons, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Raptors, the Bucks, and the Wizards. They all play 4 games. The Warriors, out of that group, the Warriors, the Wizards, the Hornets, and the Heat play all 4 of their games on the road. The Nets, all 4 of their games at home. 12 teams play 3 games. That's the Mavericks, the Bulls, the Pelicans, the Spurs, Pacers, Wolves, Lakers, Clippers, Knicks, Celtics, Magic, and Jazz. The Jazz play all of their games at home. The Lakers play all of their games on the road. Whereas the poor old Thunder, they play just 2 games for the week. We'll talk more about them, but it's really hard to look at Thunder players and consider them roster. Or you can't start them this week. We'll just give you that spoiler right up front. You cannot start those guys in weekly changes leagues. I must stress that point. You cannot start, or you should not start any Thunder player in a weekly changes league for this week with those only 2 games on the cards for them this week. So how does the schedule actually break down? We've got a pretty even schedule. In fact, you can probably stream on 6 of the 7 days. We've got 9 games on Monday, 4 on Tuesday, 11 on Wednesday, 5 on Thursday, no 3-game days, thankfully, 8 on Friday, 7 on Saturday, and a very robust 9 on Sunday. The only day that it's not going to be streamable is Wednesday. You can probably get away on the Monday with 9. That's a likely day. You can get away on the Sunday with 9. You can on the Friday with 8 as well. So you've got 6 days there to be able to pick and choose or to be able to stream blokes in. So what teams have got the good streaming schedules for daily changes leagues, that is? Well, there are a bunch of teams that have 4 quality games. 5 teams, in fact. The Nets, the Suns, the Pistons, the Warriors, and the Raptors, all 4 of their games this week are on the low volume days. So they all avoid playing on Wednesday. So when you're streaming blokes in, whether it's Cam Johnson if Devin Booker remains sidelined, it's Killian Hayes if the Pistons don't make a decision. It looks like they're going to change their lineup, the Pistons. Are they going to actually put Corey Joseph in? Or are they going to start Frank Jackson? Or are they going to start Hamidou Diallo? Is it Bay or Hayes that goes to the bench? Who knows what they're going to do? They might do something weird, so watch out for that one. But that could open up some value with a good streaming schedule. The Warriors have 4 games this week, but their 4-game week is a little bit different. It includes 2 back-to-backs, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, Saturday. So while a guy like Otto Porter on the surface might seem like a good stream, he might play 2 games. That might boost the value of a one Toscano Anderson because you're probably going to have Iguodala if he returns. He'll be sitting those games. Porter will be sitting some of those games. And you might get a boost for someone like Toscano Anderson, or even in very deep leagues, maybe there's a chance that John Kuminga plays some decent minutes across those 4 games. The Raptors also have 4 games. We don't expect Anunoby or Birch back this week. We maybe think Precious might return, but it does improve the value of streaming in a Chris Boucher if Achua is out. If Achua is in, it does limit Boucher, obviously. And then you can stream Precious in that scenario also. So that's how the schedule breaks down in terms of streaming value. Before we go any further, though, you know this problem. Like, you're watching these streaming games. You're paying attention to what dumb shit that Dwayne Casey's going to do. But you'd watch that on one device. There's your live sports right there. And then you have got your on-demand shows in another spot. And then you've got your highlights on your phone to watch Jeremy Grant take an isolated long 2 pull-up. Cool. Turnaround, maybe. Maybe more of a turnaround for him. You watch that on your phone, and then you've got your neighbours log in for the other good stuff. What an absolute mess that is, much like the Pistons team. Sorry for all the Pistons slander. I want to tell you about a great way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called Direct TV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with Direct TV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required and content varies by package. Let's look at how the back-to-backs shake out for this week. We're not really going to be including Wednesday in back-to-backs because it is 11 games on, and it doesn't really, we can't get the 2-for-1 value with that Wednesday day. But on Monday to Tuesday, there are 3 teams, the Suns, the Warriors, and the Raptors, that start the week with a back-to-back. I mentioned the Warriors already with 2 back-to-backs this week. Tuesday, Thursday, so we're sandwiching the Wednesday, Eiffel Towering it. We've got the Nets, we've got the Suns, the Pistons, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Knicks. So they have the game on the Tuesday and the game on the Thursday. Some really interesting streaming value across those teams. The Nets with Nicky Claxton for defensive numbers, Cam Thomas for scoring, James Johnson for contributions across the board. The Suns, well, that really depends on Devin Booker, doesn't it? But JaVale McGee looks great. The Pistons we talked about, the Raptors we talked about, the Bulls. I don't even know if the Bulls are going to play. Everyone's out. Stanley Johnson's now in health and safety protocols. Oda Sumnu is in health and safety protocols, but Alex Caruso is back for them. The Knicks, some value there as well. Thursday, Friday, there's no back-to-back. So that does put a bit of a kink in streaming plans, which we're going to talk about in a second. Friday, Saturday, we've got the Warriors, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Magic, and the Jazz that have that back-to-back. So we talked Warriors already, but the Bucks, you're really making sure that Pat Connaughton's rostered. You're looking at Grayson Allen as an ad, George Hill if he is playing there as well. The Celtics, it's Josh Richardson if he happens to return. It might be guys like Ennis Freedom in deeper leagues, Grant Williams in deeper leagues. You can pay attention to Romeo Langford in very deep leagues. The Magic, we know we're looking at a Gary Harris situation there. The Jazz, we're looking at Rudy Gay, Hassan Whiteside. And then to close out the week on the weekend, the back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, the Cavs, Nets, and Pistons all have that back-to-back. Nets and Pistons we've spoken about. The Cavs, you're looking at Okoro, Rubio, Love. Who else are we talking about? There's not many. Dean Wade, probably not. But there are other guys that you can take a look at to stream there on that weekend back-to-back. So our streaming plan this week's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit different. All right, let's assume that we've got 4 ads for the week and we've got 1 streaming roster spot. If you've got 2 streaming roster spots, what we do is we just, on Monday, we look to add a Raptors or a Suns player, and then they play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 3 games for the price of 1, and you do that twice, that's 6 extra games. right? But that's not going to be the case for everybody, that they're going to have 2 streaming spots. If you only have 1 streaming spot and 4 ads, it is a little bit tough this week with how the schedule plays out. The most value you get, again, is from starting Monday, adding 3 players for the price of 1 ad. And then you drop that guy, and then on the Friday, Saturday, you grab one of those back-to-backs, Warriors, Bucks, Jazz, Celtics, Magic. And then on Sunday, you stream in what you need. That only uses 3 ads there. Now you can use that 4th ad to grab more of a long-term player, a stash option, a guy that's going to have season-long value versus just trying to get numbers in now. But if you want to use your 4 ads for the week, then what you can do, again, you can try and... if you do have that second streaming spot, you add 2 guys in on Sunday, or you add 2 guys on Monday from the Raptors or the Suns to bulk your games up. But in general, you're probably only going to have 1 streaming spot, but you've got that extra ad for the week just in case, depending on what goes on. Also, again, if someone gets hurt and you can slide them into IL, you've got that extra IL, you've got that extra ad that you can use then to boost your value for the week. So trying to pay attention to the right time to do that. But remember, there is no Thursday, Friday back-to-back. So we're always looking to attack that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday to begin the week if you've got an IR slot extra. If that opens up after Monday, you've got the Tuesday, Thursday with a bunch of teams. Then you've got Friday, Saturday, and then Saturday, Sunday. But ideally, assuming we're not going to have anything go wrong, we use our 3 ads and we get those games out of it. So it's an extra, 3 ads and we get 6 games out of it with that 1 ad in hand for maybe more of a long-term value type of an option. That's, I think, the way we should be approaching that. In terms of front and back loading, the Pacers don't play at all on the weekend. So while I wouldn't suggest dropping Chris Duarte to get extra players in over the weekend, if you do have more fringy guys, maybe you've taken a flyer on a O'Shea Brissett, maybe you've grabbed a Justin Holiday in that scenario, then they don't play on the Saturday, Sunday, so you can get some games in there. Whereas to begin the week, there's a bunch of teams that don't play until Wednesday. Pelicans, Suns, Wolves, Lakers, Magic, Jazz, and Thunder do not play until Wednesday. So your Malik Monks, maybe Malik Beasley in this scenario because D'Angelo Russell maybe is probably back by Wednesday, so Beasley's value goes. Maybe Booker's back for the Suns. Yeah, so there is... that's not true about the Suns. That is absolutely incorrect. I don't know why I put that in saying that the Suns don't play until that day. That is not what I meant at all. Who was that meant to be in that list? Just checking what I meant to write there. Because that is... yeah, the Spurs. That is meant to say the Spurs, not the Suns. My bad. Pelicans, Spurs, Wolves, Lakers, Magic, Jazz, Thunder. So Spurs players. Injured Keldon Johnson. Lonnie Walker, if you streamed him in over the week. Doug McDermott. Yeah, these are clear drops who don't play until Wednesday. Let's look at weekly leagues. And remember, if you are not in a weekly league... if you're in a weekly league, you know you're in a weekly league. These are guys that you can add and start for the week. These ads and drops are not for leagues where you change your lineup daily. These players are on the waiver wire who you might be able to add, that you might be able to actually put into your active roster. JaVale McGee, Danny Green, this is for category leagues. Danny Green, Nasir Little, if he is healthy, fingers crossed. Cameron Payne, the big stiffy, Bones Highland with 4 games. And PJ Tucker, he has 4 games for the Miami Heat. But before I get on and talk about guys that you can sit, you're going to need to sit down to hear this because Built Bar is here. It is Christmas time. It is the holiday season. And Built Bar is the delicious tasting protein bar. It's just like a candy bar. It is the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. Who would have thought you could get such a combination together? It's like we wished upon a Christmas star and Built Bar fell down from the clouds. They are low in fat, low in carbs, low in sugar, low in calories, but high in protein and high in deliciousness. That is what they are. And for this time of year, who wouldn't want their stockings stuffed with the delicious chocolatey bar from Built? Go to Built.com, use that code LOCKED15. I heard a whisper that Locked On 20 also still works, so check that out. But use the code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com and get yourself the best tasting protein bars ever. Built Bar, we are built different. BetOnline has you covered all season. More props, more odds, more lines, more contests. As football season continues the march to the playoffs, BetOnline is your number one spot for all sports action this season. So head to the new updated desktop or mobile site and sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball to football, the NHL, boxing, UFC, or even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline is where the game starts. Let's look at players in category leagues for this week that I think we should be considering as players you can sit. All Thunder players. Do not bother starting a Thunder player. That includes, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You probably weren't thinking of starting Lou Dort or Josh Giddey, and rightfully so. Do not do it. But also make sure you don't start Shai, or at least really, really look at it and be pretty aggressive in making that decision to not start him. Mike Conley, not a start either. The Jazz play 3 games, but unfortunately there's a back-to-back. He has played the last 2 back-to-backs, but there's no guarantee he does this one. I think he's a sit. Keldon Johnson, not a player I'd start with only 3 games. RJ Barrett for the Knicks with only 3 games. Marcus Morris for the Clippers with only 3 games. And Timmy Hardaway, only 3 games for the Mavericks. I think they are all worth sitting down. For points leagues, these are guys you might be able to add in a weekly league. They're all rostered in under 50% of leagues. Terrence Davis, Kevin Huerter, Pat Mills, JaVale McGee, the Italian cock, Danilo Gallinari.
Hands off my cock!
Cameron Payne, and Patrick Beverley. While if we look at guys in points leagues that we might be able to sit down for this week, again, all Thunder players, don't bother with them. Bojan Bogdanovic, I think, is a sit. Chris Duarte, Devin Vassell, Evan Fournier, the diseased scrotum, probably not worth a hold anyway. Timmy Hardaway and Mitchie Robinson, also guys that you can sit down for the week. That will do it for me today. I'll be back straight after this show to talk, pretty much straight after this show, to talk about action for Sunday, what to watch for, but more importantly, daily streaming targets. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you're here on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.